Welcome, everybody, to the Sentinel Report. I am your host, Alex Newman, and it is wonderful to be with you today. I'm coming to you from Camp Constitution. I'm on a mountain in New Hampshire. We'll have some of the wonderful speakers here as guests either later this week or next week. We may drop a special episode. Today, we've got some incredible people coming on. Senator Tuberville from Alabama, he represents the state of Alabama in the U.S. Senate, joining us today to discuss the upcoming Big Beautiful Bill. Yes, they're working on Big Beautiful Bill number 2 and maybe number 3 and a whole lot more. We also just spent some time with General Michael Flynn. We'll show you a clip from that. Huge news on multiple fronts. We have some really important news for you today, so stay tuned. But first, a word from the Word. This comes out of Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. The Bible reads, "You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the sons of your own people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord." And folks, Jesus reminded us of that many times too, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. Basically a summary of the second tablet of the law. If you love your neighbor, you're not going to lie to him, you're not going to steal from him, you're not going to covet his stuff, you're not going to betray him. So we really need to be taking that seriously, folks. The world would be a much better place if people just followed God's instructions. Now, we do have some big news today in the world, folks, and not to fearmonger, but this is important, folks. We have multiple top-level officials dropping suggestions that we are right around the corner from World War III. We actually have now the former head of the British Army warning that a war between Britain and Russia is, and I'm quoting here, a real possibility probably within the next 5 years. That comes from General Sir Patrick Sanders. He led the British Army up until 2024, just last year. And he says the British government does not seem to be ready to take on a foe like this. That is, of course, very, very troubling. He also says that this hot war with Russia could be far more dangerous than the Cold War ever was. He was speaking to the UK Telegraph and said that if Russia were to attack one of the other NATO states, we could end up triggering Article 5, and this would bring about a massive war. He says that would bring Britain in starting on day 1. And he says also that if Russia stops fighting Ukraine, you get a position where within a matter of months, they will have the capability to conduct a limited attack on a NATO member that we will be responsible for supporting, and he says that happens by 2030. Meanwhile, it's not just British authorities. The head of NATO, Mark Rutte, who, by the way, is on trial right now, or is about to be on trial in the Netherlands over the COVID jabs, he says that World War III will begin with joint attacks from Communist China and Russia, and that these would probably be simultaneous. He gave a long interview to the New York Times where he said that we may well see these joint attacks by Russia and China. He says there's an increasing realization, and let's not be naive about this, if Chinese Communist leader Xi Jinping would attack Taiwan, he would first make sure that he makes a call to his partner in all of this, Vladimir Putin, in Moscow, and tell him, hey, I'm going to do this. I need you to keep them busy in Europe by attacking NATO territory. So, folks, these are very, very concerning developments, and we need to be paying close attention to them. I do want to encourage you folks also to think about gold. I've been buying gold for a long time. It's at new records now almost constantly, it seems like. And unequal weights are an abomination to the Lord. That's what author Alan Armstrong says in his groundbreaking book, The Bible and Gold. And, of course, that's what God says himself in his word. And since the Garden of Eden, gold has served as God's honest money standard that can't be manipulated or printed. And so that's why Genesis Gold Group's mission aligns perfectly with Armstrong's biblical finance insights. They've built a foundation on the same principles of honest money, transparency, and integrity explored in this essential book. Genesis Gold Group's faith-driven experts help transform paper promises into physical, precious metals. You can even take delivery of them right at your house, and that can help you preserve your retirement against the ongoing devaluation of the dollar that we are seeing right now and that Armstrong diagnoses. So visit NewmanFaithGold.com, NewmanFaithGold.com, to get a free copy of The Bible and Gold and discover how you can align your financial future with the unchanging standards of precious metals. Again, go to Newman Faith Gold, Newman Faith Gold, for honest money in uncertain times. Now, turning to some other news, folks. Tucker Carlson just dropped a bombshell at Charlie Kirk's event in Tampa. A lot of outrage about this as well. He says Epstein was actually working for Mossad and that everyone in Washington, D.C. knows it, but they're too scared to say it. Here's what he said.
Not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things.
So whether he's right or wrong, we don't know. A lot of people are upset about this. In fact, the Israeli government put out a very, very accusatory note asking Charlie Kirk to stop promoting anti-Semitism at his events. I want to show you what General Flynn just told us about Epstein and the alleged missing client list. Check this out.
And there's nothing to be, nothing to see here. Then you can't have thousands of victims and no perps, right? No people that were, no pedophiles that actually did the things that we all know they did. I mean, so Epstein Island didn't exist. People that we know went down there didn't go down there. Manifests that we know of that are true manifests or of airplanes that flew down there, none of those people actually exist. That means that's all a lie. There has to be some explanation by the White House because the American people aren't buying it. And I think, if you don't, Elon's already jumped on top of it. And I looked at his thing I saw it 30 minutes ago. It's got 10 or 11,000 comments just to, and it tells you how upset people are. So now what are we supposed to believe? That P. Diddy is going to walk away unscathed? Epstein is going to walk away unscathed? So what does that mean? That the elites in this country that abuse children for their own gratification are going to walk away, but other people don't? I mean, no one should walk away, but clearly the elites in this country or elsewhere, is it the whole establishment that's involved here? That's the American people are going to be absolutely through the roof upset if this isn't clearly, if there's no clarification that comes out today from the White House or the Department of Justice.
Now, a federal judge in California ordered the Trump administration to immediately stop the immigration raids all across L.A. and surrounding counties, saying that agents have been detaining people without reasonable suspicions of their immigration violations. So we'll keep you updated on that. And then we also have now 3 different cloud seeding companies being exposed, involved in operations in the Texas Hill Country right in the run-up to, and some of them even during the flooding. And one of the things that's really interesting that's getting a lot of attention now is the only oversight over these operations is coming from a board of appointees, all of them handpicked by Governor Greg Abbott, virtually all of whom seem to be Abbott donors, and virtually none of whom seem to have any expertise in any of these areas. So very, very troubling. Folks, these things really need answers. Now, before we go to break, I want to tell you about Trim Rocks, folks. These come from our friends at Victory Nutrition International. It's a company that I love. And, folks, you can skip the boring pills, right? Trim Rocks is the fun, fizzy way to support your metabolism and energy naturally. You just pop it in your mouth. It tastes like Pop Rocks. It's delicious. They've got Goy USA and green coffee bean for a gentle plant-based energy lift, and Camu Camu for immune support, help out your immune system. And, folks, this Trim Rocks also supports fat burning, blood sugar balance, and steady energy. I have really, really enjoyed taking it, and the purple tea extract helps with weight management and can even help stabilize blood sugar. It's all from Victory Nutrition International, and when you use the promo code Newman20, that's Newman20, you're going to get 20% off on your order. So go to VNI for Victory Nutrition International, VNI.life/Newman. That's VNI.life/Newman, and use that code Newman20. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back here on the Sentinel Report.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Welcome back to the Sentinel Report. Alex Newman, your host here. Folks, the communist Chinese are buying up huge amounts of our farmland, and it's not a new problem, but it is getting renewed attention on Capitol Hill. I, for one, am grateful for that. Joining us now to discuss is Senator Tommy Tuberville. He represents the great state of Alabama in the U.S. Senate, and he's been very active on this particular front. Senator, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, I'm on the Ag Committee and the Armed Services Committee, so I understand the national security implications of this. So we got huge problems.
I agree. Yes, we do. So let's talk about the scope of the problem. How long has this been going on, and why do you see it as such a threat?
Well, it really picked up during the Biden administration. The problem that we had, and we saw through the Ag Committee, is basically the Biden administration they do not like our farmers. They want all of our food to come from other countries. They've been pushing this climate hoax, this nonsense about our weather's changing. They pushed all the input costs so high. Fertilizer tripled in price. The farm equipment almost doubled in price. So all the input costs were so high, there was no way farmers could make a living. They just couldn't break even, much less make any money. And so it was pretty much pressure from the administration to try to, hey, let's try to get all the farmers to sell. And so a lot of them started to sell. Listen, we lost 150,000 farms in the last 4 years and 25,000 farmers. We can't stand that. We have to be self-sufficient. We found out in COVID, we don't make drugs. My God, we don't need to get to a situation where we got to depend on other countries for our food. And so the Biden administration started putting pressure on farmers. They started selling out. Unfortunately, a lot of them started selling out to entities that had Chinese implications and Russia implications. And you can't blame the farmer because they couldn't make a living, a lot of them, so they're selling out. And so it's putting us in a very tough bind. It's putting us in national security implications, and we've got to stop this nonsense. And President Trump understands it, and we're on the way to hopefully fixing the problem.
So let's talk about fixing the problem. What are some of the ways that Donald Trump can act here, and what are some of the ways that Congress can act to support our national security, to protect our farmers from these kinds of things, and ultimately to protect our national security?
Well, first of all, drill, baby, drill. We've gone from $5 a gallon of diesel to somewhere below, at some places under $3, which is a tremendous help because of all the diesel that these farmers use in their tractors and all their farm equipment. That's number one. The tariffs are going to help. We've tariffed things from all the way from Brazil to cotton, soybeans, all those things that President Trump's pushing tariffs on, all the way to catfish in Vietnam, shrimp in India, just so many things that they flood the market here with just junk, things that we shouldn't even be eating, putting in our bodies, comes from other countries when we have a much better product in this country, but they underprice it so much. For instance, catfish from Vietnam, they send in 3 billion pounds of this sewer-fed catfish to the United States, and they are running our catfish farmers out of business because we can't compete with the price. So many of those things can be done, Alex, with these tariffs. Thank God for President Trump understanding business and understanding our farmers. It's going to affect our farmers to some degree, but at the end of the day, in the long run, it's really going to help.
Yeah. So I just got back from the RCAP convention in South Dakota. This is the nation's independent cattle producers, and they talked about some of these regulations that came down during Biden, some of the ones that came down during Obama, under the guise of saving us from climate change. Now, I've seen Donald Trump has been rolling back a lot of that, but even in the big, beautiful bill, I mean, a lot of these things have not yet been enshrined into federal law by Congress. What can Congress do to try to prevent something like what Joe Biden did, something like what Barack Obama did from happening again?
Yeah, Barack Obama put so many regulations on our farmers, and especially our cattle farmers, our foresters, people that do things that really have affected them financially, and again, put them out of business. President Trump has got to stop, and he has already started this cutting back on all the regulations. There needs to be some rules that you have to go by, but it was really a bunch of nonsense what we were doing. We were forcing farmers to, if they had standing water in their fields, they couldn't plant a crop there because it was waters of the U.S. Just absolutely nonsense. And there's nobody, Alex, that takes care or believes in taking care of our land and our forest no more than our farmers and our foresters. Nobody. They're going to take care of the water. They understand if we don't have water, they can't survive. And so quit tying the farmer up to where they can't make a living. They can't actually make profits with the hard work and effort they put in. You got to remember, farmers can't control the weather, nor can they control the price. And so give them the opportunity to make the best possible crop they possibly can that is with less cost and less input. And if we can do that, we'll be able to save this country and even make better food and give a chance to be self-sufficient. If we have another COVID or if we have something, some kind of war, we've got to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, turning to the gender issue, I know for the moment there are now two genders once again at the federal level, thanks to the president. But this craziness is still going on. I spoke with your staff earlier today about a women's bicycle race that was actually won by a biological man pretending to be a woman. I know a lot of this stuff, it deals more with state policy, but what can Congress do? And I know you want to run for governor in Alabama. I know you've already announced. What can the state do to try to protect women's sports, to try to protect girls and their spaces from men invading?
Well, thank goodness in my state of Alabama, we've already passed a law and put a stop to this nonsense. You can't do it. I want you to think about this, Alex. We're getting ready to have, in 2 years, host the Summer Olympics in California. And if we continue down this road, we're going to have the biggest egg on our face of having all these transgender men participate in all these sports because the Olympic Committee is not going to do it. I mean, they don't have guts to do anything. Basically, they're run by Europe. We have got to make sure that when we have the Summer Olympics in LA in a couple of years, that it's fair and we have women that have an opportunity to win, not try to place second or third. We're going to ruin women's sports if we continue down this path. It makes no sense. And I'll tell you what happens. You know, the LGBTQ group on the Democratic side, that is their base of vote. And that's the reason most of them don't believe in men and women's sports. But if they were to bail out on the transgender group of participating in women's sports, they would start to lose their base. And it just shows you how crazy politics is. They don't believe in it, a lot of them, but they're going to allow it because they love the power. They love the vote. They love to be a congressman or senator. It's absolutely ridiculous of what we put up with up here. And President Trump's going to put an end to it.
So before we turn back to state-level issues in Alabama in particular, now that the big, beautiful bill is passed, signed into law, what's on Congress's agenda for the next few months?
Well, Congress, the House today will start a second big, beautiful bill. We want to do another one by Christmas, and then we want to do another one by the 250th birthday party President Trump will sign next July. And so there's a lot of things that we weren't able to get in this bill, although it's one of the biggest bills in the history of the country. And it's a great bill. Most of it was about the tax cuts. We all know that. It's going to save people a lot of money. Also the tax and the seniors that don't have a job, that get a Social Security check, there will be no more taxing that, which was absolutely insane that Joe Biden got done back in 1983 as a senator. It just, things go on and on, but we helped our farmers. We raised input reference prices, which they get a better price. You know, if the price drops from the federal government, a lot of good things in this bill, but Alex, we have to start cutting now. There was some additions with the border money, with 50 to 75 billion more for the military. But at the end of the day, we have to start cutting back on this $37 trillion in debt, because your generation can't afford us to continue to pay $1 trillion a year on the debt that we have to pay because of these high interest rates.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. Obviously, there's been some criticism. Elon Musk has been really out front on the complaining about the spending. Do you guys in Congress have any plans to try to rein that in over the next year or two?
You know, we cut some out of this, but we didn't get to the point because we couldn't get the bill passed if we continued down that path. That's the reason I think President Trump was exactly right. He went and told the House, hey, listen, you got to pass this bill. It's just the base of what we want to start to do. Even Dr. Oz came over and talking about Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Listen, you know, we're going to make people go back to work. We're going to work standards. We're going to kick all the illegals out of Social Security, which, by the way, was 1.4 million. We were leaking all bad when it came to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. But as he said, this is not enough. Let's get a base of where we're at. The next bill, we will address a lot more of it. And but we got to do it. We got no choice. And that's the reason I was really for this $150 billion for the wall and for the border. It's not. Let me explain it to you. They explained it to us this way: $25 million per mile for the wall. Now, that's just not the wall, but it's technology. It's for the people that are going to work around that wall. It's going to be judges that are going to put people on trial down there when they come across, and either they can stay or can't stay. All the things that go along with it. We have to cut back on this illegal immigration because we can't afford it. It's costing us $70,000 per illegal a year for them to be here. What the Biden administration did to this country because of opening up the borders is criminal, absolutely criminal to the American taxpayer. So a lot of good things in the bill, but again, this we're going to start another one, and the next one will really address the deficit that we have, because if we don't address that, it's not going to make any difference. We don't have to worry about China, and we don't have to worry about any other country overtaking us. We're going to implode from within, and we got to do our due diligence and make sure we understand that this is a business we're running, and we can't overspend every year because eventually it will catch up with you.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing what comes out next. Senator, before we let you go, we've only got a couple minutes left in this segment. You are now running for governor in Alabama. What made you decide to want to leave Washington, D.C.? What do you hope to do in Alabama? Well, I'm a builder. You know, I coached football forever, and I really enjoy putting things together and watching it grow. And being a CEO or a governor of a state is pretty much like being a head coach. You hire all your people around you. You do what you want to do in terms of seeing how you can help the people of your state, make it grow, bring in and recruit manufacturing, get better jobs, improve your education. And so after being up here 6 years of just voting on nominations is pretty much what we do most of the time. You don't have a big, beautiful bill, but ever so often. So I can do more good back in my home state of Alabama of being the governor, being the CEO, putting a group of people together that can make our state better and even run over into the rest of the country. So I'm looking forward to that. President Trump is all for it, and I'm excited. But I've got another year and a half here, and I want to finish strong as being a senator up in my first term. Excellent. Where can people find out more? How do people follow you on social media? Yeah, just coachforgov.com. I mean, that's what I'm on. And, you know, they can follow us or Tuberville for Senate, you know, both of those. But I'm excited about this. You know, I've coached forever. I didn't know a lot about politics. I've learned a whole lot in the last 5 years. I'm just, I count my blessings every day that President Trump got elected, because of what I saw for the first 4 years of the Biden administration, we were headed in the opposite direction for this country. My dad died for this country in the military back a long time ago, and there's a lot of other people who's given their lives for this country, and we're not going to give up the best country on the face of the earth, and we're not going to let these Democrats that actually don't like this country, want to change it, but they want to stay here. I don't understand it. If you don't like it, move somewhere else, because this is the greatest country, and we're not going to allow it to be run and run down by socialists and communists that want to take this country over. Amen. Senator, thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Good luck to you in your final year and a half in the Senate, and good luck to you as governor of Alabama. Thank you, sir. I hope we can talk to you soon.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless you, too. All right, folks, that's all we have for this segment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
In 1776, a nation was born, forged in the crucible of revolution. Brave men and women stood together fighting for freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. Introducing Patriot Mobile, the wireless carrier that stands with you. We are committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile. For free activation, use promo code Newman.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sentinel Report. I am your host, Alex Newman, and we have all been bombarded nonstop with the propaganda about nicotine and about tobacco, that it's bad, that it'll kill you, and frankly, as somebody who spent about 18 years addicted to cigarettes like a fiend, literally from the time I was 12 until the time I was 30, I was smoking cigarettes like a moron. I kind of understand why some people are concerned. But when the World Health Organization starts going on a global jihad against something, my first question is, what are they hiding? Now, when I first heard the idea that there might be benefits to nicotine, I'll admit I was a little bit perplexed. But talking to Andrew Muller, who is the chief of operations at Liberty Sentinel Media, also a contributor to the New American, he said, no, there's probably something here. We need to talk to the expert on this, and that is Dr. Bryan Ardis. He's been a guest on the program before. He's a retired chiropractor, certified acupuncturist. He's a nutritionist, and he's been exposing the lies of Big Pharma for a long time. He's the CEO of Ardis Labs, LLC. He's also the host of the Dr. Ardis Show, a major podcast on health-related topics. So we've got Andrew Muller here. We've got Dr. Ardis here. Dr. Ardis, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here, buddy. It's great walking around and being at different venues with you for the last 5 years during the pandemic. It's great to spend more time with you and your audiences.
Hey, really appreciate it. So, Dr. Ardis, let's just start with nicotine. Almost everybody on the planet understands that nicotine is bad, and yet you say there are certain health benefits.
Yeah, it's very true. This is a big caught the attention of a lot of people, it appears, as I've continued to articulate and show research studies from around the world that a plant designed by God to include a nutrient called nicotine that then our FDA in America decided in 1994 to classify as a drug, nicotine, was an addictive substance. You have all been lied to, and we've been pummeled with this propaganda lie that tobacco, nicotine is solely an addictive substance, that it causes cancer, and it couldn't be more farther from the truth. In fact, all of you out there, why anybody's even talking about nicotine right now is because I exploded on the world 3 years ago a documentary that highlighted that smokers around the world were the only people appearing immune to COVID-19. And this was being reported by research scientists around the world. In fact, Alex, one thing I highlighted in my best-selling book right now called Moving Beyond the COVID-19 Lies is a research study at the University of Wisconsin's hospital in 2021. They had a whole floor designated for chronic smokers and current smokers who also had heart disease, diabetes, and were now in a COVID ward in the hospital. Now, Alex, Andrew, you both know you can't smoke cigarettes in a hospital because of the amount of oxygen being pumped into these rooms and being utilized. So current smokers, active smokers who also had other diseases, who were on a floor isolated by themselves, there was about 96 of them, if I remember the number correctly from the study. And just so y'all know, within 3 weeks, 5 of these chronic current smokers who were not allowed to use cigarettes in the hospital for COVID reasons, 5 of these smokers on this one floor designated for smokers with COVID died Now, Alex, Andrew, the thing they did next is miraculous, and I can't believe nobody talked about it. One of the medical attending doctors decided to slap a 21 milligram nicotine patch on every single one of the remaining 91 sick COVID patients. And Alex, Andrew, guess what happened? Within 5 days, 100% of all of them went home free of COVID symptoms and all well. That is why nicotine is now talked about around the world, is when I unleashed that scientists were confirming nicotine could stop the pandemic. Holy cow, the powers that be were not happy, because the overall agenda was, we need people sick, so they fall for the narrative they need a unproven vaccine to save them, which was the COVID-19 vaccines. So anything that stood in the way of that, they had to squash. They had to defame, make fun of, or call it conspiracy theory and disinformation, misinformation. But that's why you're learning about nicotine right now so much.
Wow, that's incredible. I do have a question about this, Dr. Ardis, because we hear that nicotine's, bad for us and that it's a, harmful chemical. And I think a lot of people falsely tie nicotine to chewing tobacco or to cigarettes, that it causes cancer, that's carcinogenic. And you see, like I have, Alp here and I have Zyn here, some of the nicotine products, and it has the same text on all of them. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. And they seem to tie nicotine to all of the bad, connotations of smoking and chewing tobacco. Is nicotine addictive? Are there any, downfalls to it? Could it cause, high blood pressure, any issues? Do you know of any potential side effects or issues from using a pouch or a patch, for example?
Yes. Okay. So for all things, there's moderation in all things. For example, haven't you heard that there's some college kids that decide they want to test whether or not, if I just drink gallons of water really quickly, will I really drown to death? And then they do. Yet all of us need water to live. If you take too much of anything, it's going to have a negative consequence. You can take too much magnesium and you're going to get diarrhea. You can take too much vitamin C, you'll get diarrhea. That's how you know you got too much. It's not that it's bad for you. You just got too much. So number one, the next study that was done to answer your question about addictive qualities of nicotine, just this was a lie published by the FDA on behalf of the pharmaceutical industry, where they told the FDA in 1994, you better start requiring all tobacco manufactured products to have a label on the front, back, side, everywhere where that product is for sale. And it better read, this product contains nicotine, a highly addictive chemical. Now, 4 months before the FDA came out with this, they actually brought all 7 CEOs of the largest tobacco manufacturers in America into the National Capitol building in Washington, D.C., and made them testify, as the senator says to them. We're going to require you to testify to one statement under threat of perjury. This is what he says. And then all 7 of them in unison introduce themselves by names and what company they work for, and all say the exact same thing. Nicotine is not addictive. Now, 4 months later, none of them are thrown in prison for lying under threat of perjury, but instead the FDA decides to put together their own group of goons and pronounce that tobacco, in fact, has nicotine, which is addictive, and this is what makes everybody love it. And I just have to say this. For anybody out there going, I'm afraid of using nicotine, the reason why nicotine has really become a hot topic is because 20 million Americans right now are suffering with long COVID symptoms, and a medical researcher named Marco Letsky, published in January of 2023 a study that all long COVID symptoms, if patients have these for 1.5 to 2 years and no medicine, no therapy resolved their problems, I asked all of them to simply wear a 7 milligram nicotine patch for 6 days. And 100% of all their long COVID symptoms they had for 1.5 years completely resolved. He waited 6 months, called them back, and asked them, after stopping using nicotine, did you ever use nicotine again or feel like you had a dependency on the nicotine? And all of them said this: nope, never even thought about it again. And the authors wrote, we don't expect any of you to ever have this experience either, where you become addicted to the nicotine patch or product. However, they asked them another question. Now that it's been 6 months of using the 6 days of a nicotine patch, have any of your long COVID symptoms ever returned? And not a single long COVID symptom, of which there are 200 now classified by our NIH and National Institutes of Health, not a single one of them ever returned. It was a permanent cure to their long COVID suffering that nothing else resolved. Then Harvard, to answer the addictive quality of nicotine, then Harvard in 2016 publishes a research paper after reviewing Alex and Andrew 7 million pages they received per a FOIA request to the FDA about how the tobacco giant manufactures their products since 1970. And they discover in those 7 million pages that it is not nicotine the tobacco industry knows is causing the addictive quality of tobacco products. Since 1970, the FDA, they show the names of the chemicals from the FDA's own documents. The FDA allows all commercial tobacco products and manufacturers to add 15 different man-made addictive chemicals called pyrazines. Has nothing to do with nicotine, and Harvard publishes in 2016 that pyrazines are responsible for the highly addictive nature of all tobacco products, and that the FDA should start regulating pyrazines instead of nicotine. And then if you go look up medical research studies, they actually tell you there's about 20 different drugs right now that are actually FDA approved that are way more addictive than the commercial tobacco products that have 15 pyrazines and nicotine in them. And what I've been shocked by is I couldn't believe it. I could not believe, I've only believed because of propaganda and marketing from our government, that only tobacco plants have nicotine. I had no idea that eggplants were the second highest containing nicotine plant on Earth. I had no idea that science and medicine knows that red tomatoes and ketchup is the third highest containing nicotine substance on Earth. I had no idea that white potatoes were the fourth highest containing nicotine product on Earth. And that means everybody who takes their kids to Chick-fil-A and McDonald's and gets them French fries and ketchup, you're giving your kids nicotine 2 doses every single day. And don't tell me you're not going to give your kids nicotine gum or nicotine patches because you're worried about the addictive quality of nicotine. No. You don't care. You just didn't know that you're feeding your kids nicotine-laced products all day long. And if tomatoes are as addictive as tobacco is, then how come none of your coworkers are asking your bosses or you, if you're the manager, for a tomato break during the middle of the day? Because you're so addicted to the BLT you had at Panera Bread the night before. This is because you've been lied to about nicotine. They're accentuating, even if there is some slight addictive quality of nicotine, that cannot be the only reason they're going after nicotine is its addictive quality. Alex, Andrew, sugar, refined sugar has been done in multiple research studies with animals and found that cane sugar and refined sugar is more addictive or as addictive as cocaine and heroin. Why aren't they actually banning refined sugar? Why aren't they taking Halloween candy away from us? Why aren't they protecting the children from this addictive sugar? And why aren't they banning alcohol that they also publish is more addictive than nicotine? Why aren't they doing that? So it can't be that. The truth is, the pharmaceutical industry is the largest lobbying power in the United States and in all governments around the world. In fact, last year alone, they were number one lobbying industry. They paid $295 million to our U.S. elected officials and appointed officials to make decisions on behalf of profit and benefit Big Pharma. And Alex, Andrew, I can show you right now that there are 24 drug companies who have patents on synthetic nicotine to be turned into a prescription drug. Oh. This is what they're going to do, is ban the plant, make all Americans through propaganda, TV, cancer shows, you name it, be scared of nicotine and demand we ban it from access to your children for their health benefit in favor of a prescription form of nicotine that has published health benefits known for 500 years, since 1492, by the medical establishment. Did you know that tobacco, the plant alone, and nicotine inside of it has been known since 1492 to cure all cancers? Did you know it's been known since 1610 to reverse and prevent all obesity? And do you know that the obesity drug Ozempic and the drug Keytruda were the 2 highest revenuing drugs last year for Big Pharma worldwide? This is why they hate tobacco. This is why they hate nicotine. They want to profit off of patenting their own prescription synthetic version of a nutrient God infused in plants we all eat. The nightshade vegetables, which includes tobacco, is the highest containing nicotine plant group on Earth. So if you're not going to smoke it or dip it or wear a patch of it, you might want to just start eating the nightshade vegetables that are loaded with it. And did you know that every cell in the human body, brain, heart, even your immune cells and red blood cells and white blood cells, all have nicotine receptors on them to activate those cells to do their function? And for anybody out there that believes in God and you believe God created you, I'd like to ask you, when you get up to Judgment Day, I'd like you to ask God, why did you make every cell in my body need nicotine to function and fire normally? if nicotine is so addictive and causes cancer, as the FDA says.
Wow.
Well, I didn't create you. God did. So ask him why every cell in your body is supposed to benefit from nicotine found in plants that you're supposed to eat.
This is so fascinating, Bryan. I didn't even know half of this before we started this interview, so I'm really glad we did it. I'm sure there are a lot of people listening right now or who are watching us who are sitting there in disbelief. That can't be. I know they lied about COVID. I know they lied about everything, but it can't be that I've been deceived on this for 50 years. Where do you recommend people go for more information if they're interested in finding some of these studies, finding maybe dosage, where you find this stuff? Where do people go for more information?
Yeah, great question. So in August, I released a book summarizing all the research we've done throughout COVID-19. And chapter 13 is titled Just in the Nicotine of Time. And it starts with a research study in April of 2020 by scientists in France who figured out why smokers and tobacco users don't get COVID and why they stay out of hospitals and why they live. And in their paper, Alex, they actually write in the end of it, if all governments of the world in April of 2020, 5 years ago, you two, they wrote, if all governments will just pass nicotine gum and nicotine patches to all their citizens, they can end the pandemic in 2 weeks. Holy crap, what? And then no, Anthony Fauci goes into the media and is put out as the puppet to make sure everybody believes the opposite. And he said, science and data is now confirmed that smokers are the most affected by COVID. So everybody in America, stop smoking. No better time than now to quit smoking. That was to make sure the smokers got sick. So you would go get the vaccine, which was the whole agenda, was to control you and your decisions. The book, Moving Beyond COVID-19 Lies, is my book. It's the best-selling book on Amazon. The Audible version, I released 4 weeks ago, is the #1 selling book worldwide on Amazon and Audible. It's #1 bestseller all over the world. Go get the books, read chapter 13, 14, and 15. If anybody you know, which are 20 million Americans right now, have long COVID symptoms and they're not resolving, I write and show you all the tests to order medically, all the antidotes published in research, and you will experience what thousands have experienced already around the world, hundreds of thousands who have bought the book, who are now seeing their lives transform as they use nutrients published by science to reverse the problems caused by COVID that for some reason just don't seem to want to go away. So that's where I recommend you go. And then also, if you go to thedrardisshow.com and click the resources tab, there's a ton of free information in there. Everyone should open the Other N-Word PowerPoint presentation. It's titled The Other N-Word. I've been asked to present this at medical conferences all around the world. It's all the published health benefits about nicotine isolated from the tobacco plant, and I'll just rattle off some of them. Did you know nicotine is a published cure and a preventative agent for Parkinson's disease? Did you know it's also a published preventative and curative agent, nicotine, for Alzheimer's, MS, ulcerative colitis, psoriasis, gout, all arthritises, myocarditis of the heart in 3 days is cured with nicotine? 3 days. That condition has a 50% mortality in 5 years. Okay, young people, why don't you just give them 3 days of nicotine and reverse the problem and cure them of the heart problem? So autism, nicotine patch studies, I show you, all their violent behavior completely disappears in 7 days if you just put a 7 milligram nicotine patch between their shoulder blades. These studies were not done by me. They were funded by federal health agencies and universities and conducted and published by research medical scientists. You should read the research. I summarize it all in chapter 13 in my book, Moving Beyond the COVID-19 Lies, at my website in the resources tab. Download for free the 387 slide presentation titled The Other N-Word, and just follow along the slides. I also did a video podcast reviewing the whole thing, so you can watch my thoughts as I guide the audiences through it. It has created a wealth of excitement, perplexity, because it challenges all your beliefs since 1994, because you've been indoctrinated to believe one thing about this plant. And it's actually a miraculous curative agent. And anyway, I also just did last week a show called Why Big Pharma is Bribing All Governments Around the World to Ban Tobacco and Nicotine Products. That comes out next week on the Dr. Ardis Show.
Can't wait to watch it. Dr. Ardis, this has been fascinating. Really, really appreciate it. Folks, go check out all those resources, and I hope we can get you back very soon, Dr. Ardis, to talk more about this. This is just mind-blowing. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. God bless you. We'll see you at the Red Pill in Tulsa.
See you there. Yep. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much. All right, folks, stay with us. We'll be back with more after this.
Are you concerned about your child's education? Have you considered looking into alternatives to public school but don't know where to start? Greater Than I Ministries will give you the tools you need with a free Home Educators Kit and 15% off our Thinking Like a Christian Biblical Worldview video series. Available on DVD or streamed to your home or device, this series will thoroughly equip you and your family with the truth you need about the battle of ideas being waged against our families and our nation. And our free Home Educators Kit will provide you with links directly connecting you with all the resources you need if you're considering rescuing your children from the public indoctrination schools. Go to gtimin.com and click the green banner at the top to receive your free Home Educators Kit and 15% off our Thinking Like a Christian Worldview video series. Again, that's gtimin.com and click the green banner at the top. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome back to the Sentinel Report. I am your host, Alex Newman. We sure appreciate you staying with us over the break. Joining us now to discuss the big, beautiful bill and the alleged big win on abortion and Planned Parenthood is Bradley Pierce. He's been on the program before. He is on the tip of the spear when it comes to protecting the lives of the unborn. He's the president of the Foundation to Abolish Abortion and is working in states all across. He's also an attorney. We won't hold that against him. And he's working all across the country to protect the lives of the unborn and to abolish abortion. Bradley, the big, beautiful bill had a provision that is supposedly a big win for pro-life because we're going to defund Planned Parenthood for, I guess, a year. Talk to us about this alleged big win. Is it a big win, and what does it do?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really that big of a win. It really is just kind of, it feels like it's a token thing, just kind of a nod. Oh, yeah, I guess we'll also do this for 1 year. The thing, obviously, our government should defund and stop giving money to Planned Parenthood and all these other abortion providers. Obviously, that's a good thing. But what I'm afraid is going to happen, what we've seen happen before, is that this is going to get trumpeted like it's some huge thing. And, the many of the pro-life leaders are going to, act like it's some huge thing. And it's going to make people think we've had some huge victory and abortion numbers are just going to continue to climb. And because people see these kind of victories, it's going to take them out of the fight and take away the zeal that people should have for actually abolishing abortion. This isn't expected to really lower abortion numbers in any meaningful way. Planned Parenthood can easily make up this money from, there's plenty of billionaires out there who would help chip in to make up the shortfall. And even if they don't, there's plenty of other providers out there who are providing abortion pills and things like that, which has exploded in popularity since Dobbs. So not really expected to do a whole lot to stop abortions, but unfortunately, I think a lot of people are going to act like it is.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're correct. And of course, we know a lot of the Democrat states will probably just up the amount of taxpayer money they're giving to Planned Parenthood affiliates across the country. What do you think it's going to do to Planned Parenthood? I mean, is that going to, they love to give a bunch of money to politicians and say, oh, it's not the tax money. We've got that segregated over here. But do you think it's going to affect their bottom line or their ability to influence policy and kill babies in a significant way?
I really don't think so. I think they can easily make it up from other sources. And so, again, is it good that we're giving, 500 million fewer dollars to Planned Parenthood and other providers like this? Yes, of course. But, the fact that it's only 1 year is pretty pathetic, that it initially supposed to be 10 years. And then, the fact that we're not actually abolishing abortion and making it a crime, we're just saying, we're going to stop paying, stop giving this money to people who do it just for, temporarily. I mean, that's not really treating it like it deserves.
Yeah. So the state of South Carolina tried to defund Planned Parenthood, and as you know, that worked its way out through the court system, culminating in a victory, I guess, at the U.S. Supreme Court. You're a lawyer, so maybe you can help me with this. I don't understand why the state of South Carolina would have to defend itself at the Supreme Court to not give tax money to baby killing. Make it make sense, please, Bradley.
It seems kind of obvious that if a state doesn't want to give someone money, they don't have to. But it gets more complicated when that state is receiving Medicaid money, and then there's certain strings that require them to spend it in certain ways and things like that. So that makes it way more complicated. It wasn't exactly that they're giving. Yeah, again, whenever you take federal money, there's strings that come attached with that, and so that had to get litigated. So a lot of that was begun by the Biden administration that said, oh no, you can't stop giving money to Planned Parenthood because you also take this money. a lot of that kind of went away really under the Trump administration, but they still went ahead and fully litigated it, thankfully, to get a ruling from the court saying, yes, states absolutely do not have to give money to them. So that was it's a good thing. Again, as far as actually abolishing abortion, it probably has zero, close to zero effect on that. But sure, it's a good thing.
Yeah. So let's talk about abolishing abortion. You mentioned before we went on over the break that there is a new bill in Michigan, which we I think both know the communist governor up there is not probably going to sign that. But there's a lot of these bills proliferating across the country. The movement is building. So let's start just with the basics. When you talk about abolishing abortion, it sounds like an obvious answer. We're going to abolish abortion. But talk about the distinction between abolition and, say, just your regular standard pro-life efforts to rein in abortion.
Right. Yeah, so when it comes to abolishing abortion, we mean criminalizing abortion, providing equal protection is what the U.S. Constitution says, that every person is owed equal protection under the law. States can't deny them that. And so we believe it means that the same laws that protect the lives of born people, so laws against homicide, laws against murdering people, those should also apply to protect people from the moment of fertilization, from conception. And so that's what really is unique. Most pro-life organizations have not been putting forward bills like that for the last 50 years. They've been putting forward bills that kind of regulate the circumstances of abortion and not actually treating it like murder. And so that's what equal protection is. It says, hey, if it's murder of a born person, there should be murder of a preborn person too. And so that's what these bills do.
Yeah, and there's a really interesting case in Texas. I'm not even sure if you're aware of it, but I want to ask you about it. But real quick, what's the status on these bills? So Michigan has introduced one. You mentioned quite a few other states at least have bills on this. Where is this effort at in the different states? Are there any states that have gone all the way yet? And which ones do you expect will be the first?
No states have gone all the way yet. This year we saw more bills introduced in more states by more legislators signing on as co-authors. We saw 17 bills introduced across 15 states so far. There may be one or two more still to come this year. And we saw over 122 legislators sign on in support of those bills this year. And so that's record numbers across the board on that. We're definitely seeing a lot of progress and a lot of movement we're grateful for. We're not seeing anything pass yet. We saw a bill get to the floor of the House in North Dakota, but it failed there. But we're seeing we're getting more committee hearings. We're getting more votes in those committee hearings. We're getting a floor vote, votes on the floor. And so this is, to me, it's really like William Wilberforce abolishing the slave trade or abolishing slavery. This isn't a one session issue. It's something that's going to take time as we convince legislators and move the ball forward. And hopefully in the course of that, our society begins to repent of the way that we've treated this issue, both being those who are for abortion and even those who have been pro-life. Many of us, who aren't treating this issue like we should, or haven't treated this issue like we should, haven't cared about it like we should, haven't cared as much as if it were our born children dying or if someone was killing us. And so I think we have a lot of repentance to do in the way that we've treated this issue, and we've considered our preborn neighbors, all of us, me included. And so I hope that we'll see that. And again, these bills are a great catalyst for those conversations that happen. So we're grateful that they're moving forward.
Excellent, Bradley. And there's a case I want to ask you about in Texas that I think really touches on this issue kind of in a unique way. This just came up in the last few days, but prosecutors are now charging a man with capital murder for sneaking abortion pills to his girlfriend to kill her unborn baby. Now, if the woman herself had taken these abortion pills to kill the baby, nothing would have happened. She would have been protected. But the boyfriend in this case, I guess, allegedly stuck some of these abortion pills into her coffee, into her cookies, and now he is being charged with capital murder. And of course, the abortion industry is freaking out. They're saying that this is another shady effort by right-wing Texas Republicans to go after abortion pills. What do you make of the case? Is it appropriate to charge something like that in a case like this?
Yeah, well, it's since 2003, this has been legally considered murder in Texas. So if someone, in 2003, we changed the definition of individual, which is under the definition of person. So an individual includes a living human being from the mode of fertilization in Texas. And so, as a result, that a lot of states did that. I believe there's 38 states that have some kind of law like that. they may call it feticide, or in Texas they call it homicide. And it was a result of the later Lacey Peterson situation that a lot of people were aware of at that time, where a man did that, to his girlfriend, and so, or his wife, it may have been. So that's what's happening here. So it's already considered homicide. It's already murder in Texas. If he intended to take the life of that child, which it seems like he did, then he's committed murder and he should be prosecuted as that. What was interesting is at that same time that we defined person in Texas correctly from fertilization, and it became homicide automatically. Then they created an exception that says this law does not apply to conduct committed by the mother of an unborn child. And so we basically explicitly wrote into the law this immunity for mothers to commit homicide. And so while this man can be prosecuted and should be prosecuted if he's committed these things, which it sounds like he probably has, then absolutely he should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And yet it is telling and really discriminatory the way that our law says, but if it had been the mother doing it, then it would be a total free pass. There's no legal liability for her whatsoever. She couldn't even be required to do community service. She has basically complete permission to commit abortion in Texas.
Yeah, and that's exactly what came into my mind. Like that sounds like some pretty serious discrimination, that if you're a woman and you do something, no problem. If you're a man and you do that same thing, you could get the death penalty. That sounds like sex discrimination to me. I'm not a lawyer, praise God. But Bradley, where do people find out more about the Foundation to Abolish Abortion, and how do people who are interested in helping with this get involved?
Yeah, they can find out on our website, faa.life. Or they can follow us on social media, on X or on Facebook or anywhere else. They can check us out there. We also did a docuseries not that long ago called Abortion Free. People can find that at abortionfree.com and learn a lot more about the movement.
Excellent. And you also are the vice president at Heritage Defense. We are, of course, members. Some of the people who watch us and listen to us are Christian homeschooling families. Tell us about it real quick.
Yeah, Heritage Defense, we defend parental rights of Christian homeschooling families. So if you ever have your parental rights come under attack, have a social worker at your door for whatever reason, any kind of false allegation or overblown allegation of abuse or neglect, and your parental rights gets challenged like that, you can call us 24/7 and get help with your situation. Or even if you just have questions about your parental rights, want to talk to an attorney, you can call us up. All that's included with your membership.
Fantastic. Bradley, and is there any way people can follow you? Are you on social media? Is there any way to follow your work?
Probably the place I'm the most active is on X. People can follow me at Bradley W. Pierce.
Bradley W. Pierce. Well, thank you very much, sir, for coming on the program today. Thank you for your efforts. We appreciate it. I hope we can get you back soon.
Thank you.
All right, folks, stay with us. We'll be back with more after this. All right, guys, that's all we have time for today here on the Sentinel Report. But stay tuned. We've got another special episode coming up for you very soon. I want to thank you once again. Get over to libertysentinel.org, libertysentinel.org for much more. Sign up for the free newsletter. Find all kinds of great critical information. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time, I'm Alex Newman. This is the Sentinel Report. God bless you all.